Welcome to Covered, a health insurance podcast by the Montana and Mountain Health Co-op. Purchasing health insurance can be complicated, expensive, and downright intimidating. We're the world's first podcast designed specifically for you, the individual, family, or business looking to make the important decision on quality health insurance, told through the stories of our members and insurance experts. If you're looking for answers about insurance opportunities in Montana and Idaho and seek some inspiration along the way, we've got you covered.
We're here and we're live with Kayli. Kayli, welcome to Covered, the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're very excited to have you. And we were talking a little bit before the mics were turned on about your role here at the Currie Health Center at the University of Montana. Can you, for our listeners, just help explain what exactly your role at the Currie Health Center is all about?
Yeah, so I am a health behavior coach at the Currie Health Center and a health educator or health promotion specialist. So my role is really just to help students at the University of Montana practice healthy behaviors related to health and wellness and topic areas related to stress, time management, sleep, exercise, nutrition, kind of any behavior that you do day to day that makes you feel well or doesn't make you feel so well. So I meet with clients individually through health coaching, which is a self-directed process trying to help individuals make behavior changes in those areas to help for sustainable, healthy, happy lives after they're students and when they're students. And then we do more just population-based prevention work out of our office on kind of bigger health issues related to sex, alcohol, stress, sleep, healthy eating, kind of all these areas that affect our health and wellness too.
The health coaching is something that really interests me.
Yeah.
Do you find that people that come to you seeking your coaching expertise, are they preemptive, meaning are they coming to you saying, I just kind of want to get ahead of my health, I want to make smart choices, or have they come to you after some sort of diagnosis or after some sort of, I just walked up those flight of stairs and I'm exhausted. I need some help here getting back into shape.
Both. I think that we definitely see both. I think that the population at the University of Montana, even though we are mostly thinking about traditional students, a lot of them unfortunately do have some chronic health issues and related to our student population, which is not really uncommon for just the general population. Mental health is a huge challenge right now for our students on campus and nationwide. So thinking about things like anxiety and depression and other mental health challenges that really impact day to day. Some people are very pre-contemplative about wanting to make a change, so they know they should. It's really important to them, but they're not quite ready to. And those could be the people that are referred to us by medical providers or counselors saying that, you should enroll in health coaching. It would really help you. But what we know about making changes is that someone has to be ready to make a change in order to have success in that. They can kind of set less or non-action oriented goals to make a change, to prepare them to make a change, but to actually really be ready to take those action steps, they really kind of need to have all the stars align and be at a place that kind of their lifestyle can support that change they want to make.
Well, maybe let's talk, you mentioned mental health. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about mental health and how that can impact physical health and how those two things are related?
Yeah. So mental health and influences physical health in a variety of different ways, and a lot of people kind of experience that differently, just depending on the person and kind of how your body reacts to stress. A lot of people have more chronic, stress that can lead to anxiety and depression, or it's a genetic, it's just kind of like another chronic disease where there's really nothing you can do about it. So physical symptoms for mental health could be things like, feeling really overly tired all the time, maybe like stomach issues, so feeling nauseous, stomach upset. Other things could be just feeling like worried or can't, the monkey brain is kind of something that a lot of people kind of can relate to, just never feeling like you can kind of get those thoughts out of your head that are just kind of driving you crazy. Yeah. I'm not really a clinical mental health provider, but what we do know about mental health and related to lifestyle is that 55% of your overall health, is impacted by lifestyle. And the other factors are things like, your environment, socioeconomic status, I'm kind of pulling in some of my textbook information. I can't
Sure.
remember the last
Yeah.
one, but 55% of our overall health is really impacted by our lifestyle. So things like how much sleep do I get? How do I manage my stress? What food choices do I make or not make? You know, do I get movement in the day? Do I do things that make me happy? Do I have hobbies that I enjoy to do? So things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times when we think about mental health, there's not always a one-size-fits-all way to cope and manage with those things, because everyone's unique and different on kind of how they are impacted by them too.
Yeah, absolutely. So this podcast is all about health insurance, which can be a complicated and often stressful thing to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
Are there times when actually stress can be a good thing?
Definitely. So when we're talking to students about stress, we kind of try to talk to them about stress in trying to make it their friend. So the way that you think about stress really impacts how your body reacts to stress. So everyone needs stress in order to be successful and kind of do the things you need to in your day-to-day. So stress, influences your ability to get up in the morning, influences your ability to pay your bills or do the things that you need to. There's really positive stress, bigger stress things like, getting married, buying a car, buying a house, maybe buying health insurance.
Right.
And then things that are more kind of more on the negative end that can really impact, kind of your day-to-day too would be, like a financial stress or like a death in the family or friends or things that are just kind of out of your control that are just going to happen. And so kind of the way we like to talk about stress and just educate individuals on how to deal with their stress differently is just trying to get them to think about stress differently and then take care of themselves more regularly. So when a unfortunate stress or a negative stress happens, that they're not kind of already functioning at kind of the bare minimum and they don't have any reserve in the tank. So when something really stressful happens, they just kind of hit rock bottom really quickly, versus someone that like takes care of themselves and generally gets good sleep, generally, works out, goes on walks, doesn't have to be going to the gym, eats healthy food. Their body physically is also going to be able to handle stress way better than someone that is not doing those things.
You're almost charging the battery.
Exactly.
Yeah, that I'm sure most listeners can relate to a time in their lives when they've been glad that the battery was, maybe half full or all the way full, versus sometimes when, it's just one hit after another and you're, and life can get tough. Mm-hmm. Kayli, how did you get involved and how did you get interested in the topic of health? And can you help our listeners understand that journey?
Yeah, so I have kind of always been interested in health and wellness. I played sports through high school, and then when I went to college, I went to North Idaho College in Coeur d'Alene, and I wanted to get a job, so I walked into a gym there, and I got a job within the first week.
Nice.
Another Montanan from Helena hired me right off the spot, and so I worked in kind of the gym field for a long time, and I still do just teach group fitness classes here at the Peak. But I really fell in love with the whole wellness idea when I came back to school here and started in the community health major and just kind of learned that it's not just physical activity and nutrition that impacts your health and wellness. There's a lot more that impacts that. Yeah. And I did an internship at the Currie Health Center where I'm employed now, working with my director, and I really wanted to help people individually with these health issues. I really wanted to be able to sit down with someone and actually help them change their habits and their behaviors in these areas. Health and wellness coaching is a new field and it wasn't really well established back then. So we kind of piloted this idea and I just really fell in love with how much health and wellness can really impact someone's quality of life. I'm super passionate about what I do. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
There are days when you must leave work and say, today I really made a dent in this person's world in a positive way.
Yeah.
Not everybody can say that on a weekly basis, at least, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yep.
You mentioned, a lot of people think physical and diet, those are the big two. But what might surprise somebody, or what do you typically tell people that say, hey, did you know that if you change this about lifestyle, or if you made these choices or substitute this instead of this, you would have profound health benefits? Is there something like that you can think of that maybe profound is the wrong word, but noticeable or?
Yeah, it's so hard because everyone's lifestyle and kind of what they think really influences how much of an impact it will have on them.
Yeah.
But I would say that like a simple thing is like sleep, for example. I think a common thing that goes out the door first is sleep, and it's so important. Our body cannot function well, and me and you know that more than anyone else having
Sure.
babies recently.
Yes.
How much that can impact kind of the day to day. But getting good sleep and having a sleep routine, and sleep hygiene is a term that we use, and kind of getting yourself prepared, just like we do with babies. When you're an infant, you kind of like form these really, or your parents hopefully form these really solid routines around sleep, where it's like you take a bath, you eat dinner, you read a story, and you turn off the lights and have a sound machine. It like creates this like sleep oasis. But I can't tell you how many people digital devices are really impactful with sleep nowadays, and that's a huge issue. But staying up too late, getting up too early, chronically feeling tired, having too much caffeine during the day to kind of counteract that, and then our bodies just like shut down.
Yeah.
And so just trying to make sleep a priority, and trying to be consistent, trying to go to bed or just sit in your bed about the same time every night and do like a couple of different things before you get into bed to try to prepare yourself for bed. Brushing your teeth, wash your face.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be 15 minutes of a bubble bath by any means. Just something to kind of cue your mind that is time to go to bed.
It's such sound advice, and advice that I'm sure everybody can kind of nod their heads to, but also at the same time think, yeah, I don't have a solid routine, and there is a screen 2 inches from my face before the lights go out, or maybe after the lights go out. Mm-hmm. And can you talk a little bit about sort of people's identifying, as you're maybe coaching, people identifying, yes, there's this thing that I need fixing. Mm-hmm. You deliver to them and say, here is how you can fix said things. And then sort of that follow through, and what you find differentiates people that are successful in that follow through and people that sometimes that plan falls by the wayside. And maybe advice you would have for people out there that say, I do need to make a change, and I need to make some positive health choices in my life, both so I can spend maybe less on health insurance, but also just for my own well-being.
Yeah. So with health coaching in specific, and there's a lot of science and behavior change and kind of the role of a health coach and how we can effectively help people. And the biggest takeaway that I can say that really impacts someone's ability to successfully make change is kind of what I was referring to earlier about how important a change is for that person and how confident they are in their ability to make a change. So I asked 2 questions to a client that really impacts their success with their ability to make that change. So kind of on the topic of sleep, really trying to break it down. So as Americans, we're really good at setting very broad, very big goals that are not attainable and that will kind of breed a failure at some point. Like
almost
we
demotivate you.
Yeah, exactly. So someone can do something for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks very easily.
Yeah.
So like I'm going to go to bed at 10 p.m. for the next week or 2 weeks. That's my goal, which is not a bad goal, but there's a lot of reasons why that might be hard and a lot of reasons why that might not be a sustainable behavior for the next 6 months. So what we do in coaching is set a goal that's way more specific and way more maintainable. So like a goal in that realm might be going to, or sitting in bed, not even saying going to bed, sitting in bed by 10 p.m. 2 days this week. So trying to start small, it's kind of building that foundation. And then I ask the client a question: how confident are you in your ability to sit in bed 2 days this week? And they say maybe a 3 out of that 1 to 10 scale, 10 being very confident, 1 not being very confident. So it's not that they don't maybe want to, asking on then questions of importance on the 1 to 10 scale, they answer like a 10 out of 10. It's very important for them to go to sleep. They know it will benefit them. But they're just not confident they can do it because of all these other things. So we would change the goal, change it to later, maybe a later bedtime, changing it to 1 day instead of 2 days, so it can actually get success. Because even if they go to bed at 10 p.m., 2 nights per week for the next year, their health will benefit from that. And I think that people really bite off way more than they can chew and kind of get into this cycle. And our culture, unfortunately, really breeds this behavior. Try this diet, do this thing.
Yeah.
You need to do this to be healthy. And that is not, it's not a one size fits all. Everyone has a very unique path that will help them be healthy, and it does not fit everyone. And so there's so much messaging in all these different ways that really makes it challenging. And so in health coaching, I never tell someone what to do unless they are asking for my advice. And we always ask permission first. Would you like some information in this topic area? Because I believe that most people know what they want to do. They just need help doing it.
Sure.
So
yeah, no, I think that's really great insights. It must be fascinating to work with so many people with different backgrounds and different needs and health goals, and so your expertise has to be pretty vast. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned the personalized and the personalization, that there is no blanket path for this world, right, for Americans. At the same time, are there some macro rules dealing with things like living healthy and how they impact? I think we talked just a little bit before the episode about immune systems and how to keep those strong. Mm-hmm. Are there some macro rules that people listening can take away and say, okay, I will be sick less if I kind of follow some of these macro rules?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of recommendations out there by places like the CDC, the National Institute for Health. And so generally speaking, things that are recommended, like I think it's 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night, getting 150 minutes of physical activity per week, which is just getting your heart rate elevated for 150 minutes. And so some people think about that meaning like, I've got to run, I've got to, do this like high intensity interval training.
Bench press.
Exactly. So that's like for your heart health. And, that is the recommendation. Related to eating, like more fruits and vegetables, eating a balanced diet. There's a lot of specific recommendations out there related to that we don't really need to get into. Drinking water, managing your stress, washing your hands obviously will help your immune system. Yep. But there's a lot of research around stress and gut health, and your immune system is all based in your gut. And so if you're not taking care of yourself, your gut is probably hurting and your immune system's probably not good. So you're picking up every kind of cold and flu that is coming at you.
Literally your gut, not like, oh, my gut tells me I should do this.
Like your gut biome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
Fascinating. Yeah. So take care of yourself. We are pivoting now into a segment where we like to ask all of our guests a couple questions. Okay. I think you've covered the first, which is in terms of just as it applies to advice. In previous guests, we've asked about health insurance specifically. This is such a cool episode because we've talked a lot about health. So you've definitely given us some really key takeaways in that section. What hobby do you participate in, or activity do you participate in that you would say would put you most at risk for using your health insurance?
Oh my goodness, that's a hard question.
That's a tough one. We've had like mountain biking said. We had someone do Spartan races. We had someone recently talk about tap dancing and ankle strength, which was interesting. You coach over at Peak Fitness.
Yeah, I guess that might put me at risk.
Maybe.
So I teach like boot camp, high intensity interval training, which I'm not promoting. The health coach isn't always the healthiest person either. Like I'm not perfect either, but I do that. I really enjoy that. But I would say the thing that probably puts me at most risk is that I'm deathly allergic to hornets, and I do a lot of hiking and a lot of outdoor activities. I haven't gotten stung in a very long time because I'm very cautious, but that would probably be
cautious.
Just like being outside, especially this time of the year. They're like out around, so that's probably the most risky behavior that I do that puts me at risk.
How does one be cautious against long sleeves, long pants?
Just like aware, like don't like so they love like food and sugary things. So like when there's like outdoor food, just like try to avoid like being around that.
You probably hear a hornet better than like spider senses turn on. Yeah, there's a hornet around. You got to get out of here.
It's an annoying allergy, but that probably puts me at most risk. Yeah.
What advice would you have for somebody that listens to this and says, this health coach profession, this wellness profession, this sounds really cool. I don't quite know how to get started in pursuing that.
Yeah. Well, I have a very unique job in that I think the University of Montana is the only academic the state university program in the state of Montana and in Idaho right now. So if you guys have questions, you can put my contact info out there.
Yeah,
I'd be happy
we'll
to
definitely put that into the show notes. Yep.
There's also a national board for health and wellness coaching, the National Consortium for Health and Wellness Coaching, and I can also send that to you. So there's a national board, and they have a lot of information about approved training programs and how you would become a health and wellness coach. So
very cool.
Direct them.
Yeah, we'll make sure to include that, because I'm sure people listening will say, this sounds like a cool gig that Kayli's got. Kayli, that's all the questions I have. Was there anything that I did not ask you that you're like, I came prepared, I wanted to talk about this, and I can't believe Kyle didn't ask me about this?
No, I didn't.
We really covered it all?
Yeah, covered it all.
There it is. Okay. Fitting, because our season is called Covered, so this is good. Kayli, thank you so much for being on our podcast. We really appreciate it, and we'll, again, make sure to put those links in the show notes. Really great content, great advice, and thank you very much.